Godongwana is accused of sexually assaulting a masseuse while she was giving him a massage in his Kruger National Park hotel room recently. The minister has denied the allegations and has appealed for law enforcement agencies to be given the space to deal with this matter. We are now joined by Onica Makwakwa, Director at Wise for Africa. Onica, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. What is your view on how this matter has been handled thus far?
Thank you so much for having me here. I think our view is really simple. It is based on a commitment that the president made to make GBV a serious matter. And we believe that by now we should have really heard from him, showing that he is taking that very strong stance of creating a culture where we believe victims and survivors, a culture where these matters are taken quite seriously, and act accordingly. So far, what we've seen has been very dismissive remarks, quite frankly, that are not, in favor of the victim. So it's really important that we go back to what the president committed to when he accepted the 24 demands from the total shutdown.
And who are you attributing these dismissive remarks to?
These dismissive remarks have really been more from the minister, the one who stands accused so far, in terms of just how his initial response was to the matter, but also on the media. We know that it's very risky for women to come out and state that they've been assaulted. They go through a lot of public scrutiny. They actually get victimized again by the public because they are mainly in favor or protecting the person who's been accused. We are familiar with women with speculations that they are doing this because they want money. They are doing this because it's for political reasons and what have you. But I think what we need here is for the president to lead in a way that's consistent with the many speeches he has given, and that is taking these kinds of charges and accusations seriously and beginning to set the tone in the nation that we have to believe women when they tell us that they've been abused. And it starts by believing that we actually can then give room to law enforcement to conduct proper investigations, and the prosecutors as well, because our record on that is quite dismal in terms of being able to conduct thorough investigations that can then lead to prosecutable cases.
There are also quite a lot, of details, that allegedly, are part of this particular matter that we are seeing in the public domain. You look at news articles, you look at statements even by the minister giving his version, talking about how he's met with the police and all of that. How much of a spanner in the works does this further add to this particular matter, particularly on the issue of investigations and what is meant to happen on that particular point?
It actually is consistent with what we've historically seen, and that is mainly focusing on this public ventilation of the issue as opposed to having, taking the matter seriously. The minister should have been on suspension by now at the very least, so that there can be an investigation without him giving us his version, the police giving another version, and public opinion also giving its own version. Most of the time, these cases actually end at this phase because we mess them up so much with our own public opinion that they don't ever go much further than this point. So we need to really have the kind of leadership that helps set a national tone on how serious such matters are, because this is also an issue and a matter of character, right? And if the minister truly believes that this is not the case, then, let's give law enforcement the opportunity to investigate quietly, also to be mindful of potentially re-victimizing the person who's already been violated by the kind of comments that are being made in the press, because what ends up happening is that we are also, a lot of women are watching, and what woman would want to come up and lay charges when they know that public actually treats them this way when they do so?
And let's stay then with this particular issue. I mean, I'm keen to hear your response on this particular one. I was listening to the EFF press conference this afternoon, and, the allegations against the EFF leader in Gauteng, who's been accused of sexually harassing, some women. And there's also, calls by the political party for the finance minister to step down as well. And they say that this, this case, but also coupled with, how he's not doing his job effectively when it comes to the economy. I'm keen to hear your response on the question as to why the party is also not calling for this Gauteng leader to also step aside, despite the fact that he has not been charged as well.
Our opinion
I think
that,
just before you answer, Onica, I'd like the team to just play that particular soundbite, and then you can tell me what you think about this response.
We are told, no, leave him. He has not been charged. That's a public office. The EFF regional secretary doesn't occupy a public office. We still demand very high standards on him. But the standards are more higher when you occupy a national minister's office. And because you have not been charged even when we have not denied the allegation, no. He must not leave the office. And that comes from women who say, no, he's not charged. Even if he has not denied the allegation, he must be treated like your regional secretary. Those standards are embarrassing and are not EFF standards. We hold people who occupy public offices with very high standards.
Are the standards really different?
They shouldn't be. I think that, we are with this situation of GBV in this country, we are in a state of serious crisis. And we need to be building groundswell transformation in our nation about our own identity in terms of how we respond to these issues of GBV. It should not matter whether you are in public office or you are in a regular job at a supermarket. Anyone who is accused, who stands accused of this kind of behavior, should really step aside and allow for the process to take place for investigation and charges to be brought. And the reason being, as much as we have such a high rate of sexual abuse in this country, we also have a 60% or more underreporting. And this underreporting is because of the impunity that we continue to see across the board. But I think that when it comes to people who are holding public office, and I keep going back to the president himself, because if you look at the first demand that he received from the total shutdown, it is the demand that demanded the GBV summit, which was held in 2018 in November. But that demand, number one, was not just about the summit. It called for a summit, and it called for, I quote, a commitment never to appoint any individual who has been implicated or minimizes the cause and consequence of GBVF to cabinet or to lead a state institution, end of quote. So based on just that, this is about him demonstrating how serious we take these kinds of cases, and therefore taking the position to say that we will not appoint anyone in a position of authority who does this. But I think, it starts from the top, and it should not be only those who are in public office. Society all around, we have got to begin to build a culture of zero tolerance towards sexual harassment and demand that those who have been accused stand accountable.
All right, Onica, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And I'm sure a lot of conversations will be had, especially given the fact that we now see another summit coming up. But let's leave it there for now. Thank you so much for your time. That was Onica Makwakwa, Director at Wise for Africa.